When I was writing The New Rules of Influence, I had a specific person in mind. I had a person in mind as someone who is sitting somewhere in the world and wondering, what if I could do more? What if I'm meant to be more? Maybe I shouldn't sit in the back of the room. Maybe I shouldn't wait till somebody else offers that idea. Maybe I'm the person who's supposed to raise my hand.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, this is a day that took so long to get here, and I am so thrilled to be able to celebrate with all of you. My name is Lita Citroen, and I wrote the book, The New Rules of Influence, which launched today all over the world. And what an amazing program we have lined up. I first want to acknowledge we have over 500 people signed up for this, whether you're watching live on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. I could not be more thrilled to know that this message is resonating with so many of you all over the world. It's just absolutely amazing to me. If you've been on any of my live programs before, you know one of my favorite parts is to please drop into the chat where you're dialing in from. If you want to say hello and let us know that you're there, we'd certainly love to hear from you, but let us know where you're dialing in from. It's always so fun to see people from far corners of the world who are taking time out of their day for this message. So please do that. Hi, Scott. And, we're celebrating the launch of this book. We're going to talk about the book. We're also going to have some pretty cool prizes. So I'm going to talk about those in just a moment. If you have questions as we go through the content, we are going to take those questions at the end. So we have 4 speakers who are going to present different ideas from the book. Oh, look at all your messages. Hi, everybody. And we're going to let you ask questions at the end. So before we wrap up, make sure you stay on for that. If you have bought a book, would love to hear your thoughts in the chat about what you think about the book. If you haven't bought a book, or even if you have, buy one today, because today is launch day, and all these algorithms that drive how much love a book gets. The popularity of the book on launch day and actually launch week really does drive to companies like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all other online bookstores. It tells them how much love to give the book. So please buy a copy for a friend, buy another copy for yourself. I mentioned that we're going to have prizes. We have some amazing prizes. I want to talk about those. We're giving ebooks and we're giving physical books. So in just a moment, I'm going to announce who wins those books. We have Apple AirPods, the fancy ones, so that you can listen to the audiobook. We have an Amazon gift card, a $100 Amazon gift card I'm giving out, so you can buy copies of the book for all of your friends. And the big prize at the end is somebody is going to win a book plus a coaching session with me. We're going to talk through some of the principles of the book and how you specifically can use it to elevate your own voice. You have to be present to win a prize. So please stay on through the whole program, and certainly be here when your name is called, if your name is called. We want you to leave a review as well. Reviews really matter. So if you've read the book, or when you read the book, please hop over to Amazon or Goodreads or any of those sites and leave us a review. We want to hear what you think about it. So today you're going to hear from some amazing speakers. These are leaders in business, in publishing, and in the military. And they're very, very near and dear to my heart. So I'm honored to have them in here with us, and you'll hear from them in a moment. So before we dive in, I've got to do some thank yous. And I know this is going to sound a little like an acceptance speech, but just bear with me. I want to thank the entire team at Barrett Kohler. Writing this book was so different for me, such a different process. And they encouraged me to lean in. They encouraged me to go further. They encouraged me to speak my mind and my voice and my truth. I've never been encouraged like that before, and I hope it shows up in a great book. Neil, Christy, Sarah, Ashley, who gave us this amazing cover, everyone on the team, Maureen, everyone who gave us input into writing this book, Thank you for your partnership. Hopefully it's the first of many. Kathy Sweeney. I don't believe Kathy is on the meeting, but Kathy has been with me now through 4 books now. And Kathy provides an editorial service that keeps me honest, keeps me focused, and really helps me to speak my truth in these books. My team at Lita 360, Sabrina, while I was going heads down to write chapters and struggling, Sabrina kept the engines running. And if you've interacted with Sabrina on private or previous sessions, then you know Sabrina's running all of the background that it takes to put these sessions on. And Sabrina really supports everything I do at Lita 360. So shout out to Sabrina. You'll meet her later on. Kristen DiPiero is my executive assistant who makes sure I get where I need to go on time and in the right way for our clients. So thank you for keeping my life and my business going. All of the clients who help me brainstorm and ideate and just bounce ideas off of, Evelyn and Marcy and Nina and all of you, wherever you are in the world, you all allowed me to brainstorm ideas. Thank you so much for that. Bobby Thompson, James Tongate, Heather Ely Ray, Melody Godfred, Roland Vandermeer. You all provided such powerful and thoughtful written endorsements for the book. If you want to read them, go over to Amazon. You'll see our A+ content there, and all of their words are there. And last but certainly not least, my family. I have 2 grown sons who have their own families, and the love and support and endorsement and encouragement I received from all of them is absolutely amazing. My dear friend Eileen, who we take a walk every Saturday, and she has listened to me talk about this book for over a year now. Thank you for all of your love. I consider you family. And last but certainly not least, my amazing husband, Scott, who I sometimes feel I don't deserve. His love and patience and faith in me has really gotten this journey started and allowed me to complete it. So thank you for all of your help and your support and your cheers and everything that you've done to get this book to this day. Now let's dive in a little bit to what the new Rules of Influence really unpacks. This book does several things. It challenges the status quo. I'm pushing back against a lot of norms that we have internalized, whether you grew up in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, or later. There are tapes and traditions, societal, cultural, really global, that I push back against in this book. I answer the question, if not you, then who? Because I'm really saying it's your time. It's your time to raise your hand, whether that's in a meeting or to start a movement. And how do you do it? How do you do it and remain true to yourself? That's what I talk about. It walks you through the changes we experienced globally. We all went through the pandemic, whether you were in India, Saudi Arabia, Kansas, or Canada. We all went through the same experience. And I believe, and the research does show that we came out of that different. So what does that difference mean in terms of how we build community, build connection, and build influence? That's what the book goes into. And it really dispels this concept or this myth of executive presence. And I want to talk about that for a moment. I was raised to believe, and I was taught through all the learnings and the seminars and the books, that executive presence is the way you carry yourself. It's the way you dress and the way you script your messages. And the picture of executive presence was typically somebody out of a Mad Men era image, in that they were a man wearing a suit with a red power tie. That's what we always looked at as executive presence. But there's a problem with that. First of all, I'm not male. What if I don't wear a suit? I'm not an executive, and I don't want to lead that way. Where is the path to influence for the rest of us? And that's what really spoke to me in writing this book, because we have so many underrepresented voices, so many marginalized communities who have struggled to make their voice heard, pushing up against that traditional model. They don't want to script their messages. They don't want to dress a certain way or sound a certain way. So where's the path for them? I looked in the book at traditional models, and I looked at someone like Greta Thunberg, who at age 15 sat before Swedish parliament, not representing executive presence, but she presented herself with such honesty and passion and truth that she got a message started that is still to this day resonating. So if that's your path, how do you do that if you don't fit the traditional models? The book follows 4 really well structured ideals, right? So the first chapter, the first section is called Discover Your Why. And in the why chapter, we unpack some of the rules because there's 10 rules and they anchor into these chapters. The why chapter is really the foundation. Why do you want to have influence? Why do you want to speak up? Why do you want to make your voice heard? And we go past the surface stuff. And I push you a little hard in those chapters because you have to be crystal clear on why you want to be heard. And I ask you to follow rules like being courageous, being real, and being credible. Because the only way to establish your voice in this conversation is through that lens. Then we move into finding your who. Who do you want to serve? Who are the people, the constituents, the customers, the communities that you want to speak to? And I share my experience of wanting to serve the military, right? There's a community I knew nothing about in 2009, but I felt called to do something to help people coming out of the military transition into the civilian sector. So my who was a very different audience from me, but it was an audience I felt compelled to learn about. And I embedded myself with them. I used service, which is rule number 4, my passion for service to learn more about them, to lean in and listen and learn and listen and learn, to listen without judgment, but with curiosity. And being inclusive is a very important rule in that chapter. And I tackle it in a very different way. So you might be interested to hear and read how I tackle inclusivity. So that's in that second chapter. Then we go into how. How do you want to build influence, right? So in there are 3 very important rules. You have to be consistent. You have to be agile. You have to be flexible and willing to go with the flow, but also be decisive and know where your values and your grounding is. And you have to be a storyteller. Today, that is how we build community. That's how we build influence, is to tell stories that transcend culture, that transcend faith, that transcend all of that. Because we're all different, but we're so similar. And we love and we learn through story. So that's all in the chapter on clarifying your how. Then the final one is the where. Where are you going to have influence? And many people pushed up against this idea that I'm saying you have to be visible. Because if we can't see you, if we can't hear you, if we don't know you, how can we have you influence us? How can your mission be heard by us? So yeah, you have to be visible. And then the last rule, you knew I wasn't going to leave this one out, is you have to be a brand. You have to build a brand for yourself, taking control over who you are, how you are, and where you are to make sure that your message lands. I do want to read a very short excerpt from the book. It's actually from the conclusion, but I think it speaks to what we're going to frame up for today's conversation. And it's from the conclusion under the heading of We Need You. Your people need you. Your team needs you, and the world needs you. I need you. We need to see you and hear you and listen to what you have to say. Sure, it will feel scary, maybe downright terrifying. But so was the first time you rode a bike or asked someone to marry you, or you left a cushy job because your moral compass couldn't fake it anymore. Influence is about galvanizing around an idea. It can be a small one or a large one. Articulate what's needed to drive that impact, and then put yourself into the visible, confident, and scary position of leading that impact. That's how we authentically build trust and drive change. The world isn't changed for the better because we fear fear. The world is made better because we stare fear right in the eye and go forward, right at it. You'll succeed not because you were afraid, but despite being afraid. I know this is scary stuff. It's scary for me too. I'm putting my heart and soul into this book, and I'm letting you know things about me that I'm not proud of. But that's the only way that we build connection. That's the only way we build on that social connective tissue that we so desperately need today in the world. So, we're going to dive into today's program. And first, we're going to hand out a prize. So, what we've decided to do is offer 4 ebooks and 4 physical signed books that will get sent to you, to the winners that are going to appear on the screen. And what you'll see in just a second as they come up, these are the people who won books. So you'll either receive a physical book or you'll receive an electronic book. And we might need those names to come across again. I'm not sure if they will. There we go. There they go again. So if you see your name on the screen, we're going to be reaching out to you. That's why we asked for your email. We're going to reach out to you and we're going to get in touch to send you either a code for an ebook or an address so that we can send you a physical book. So congratulations to our first round of winners who have won physical or ebooks. Okay, my first speaker, and I'm so humbled that he is participating in this program, because Neil Malay is the gentleman, the editorial director at Barrett Kohler Publishers. Boy, that's a mouthful, Neil. I apologize. Neil is the one who said to me a year ago, don't write a business book, write a book from your heart. And those words panicked me. But I am so grateful that you did that, because I think that really shows up in what we produced. So Neil, I'm going to let you take it away and speak for a few minutes, and then I'll come back on and talk some more.
Sure. Just tell me when I go on too long. I love to talk. So, but I was trying to think if I were in this room, and normally we don't see the editor. The editors are kind of in the background, really, and deservedly, the authors are taking all the risk. Their name is on the book. So, what do you want to know from the editor? I mean, the first thing you should know is how hard it is to kind of pass all the gates that Lita passed to get her book, you know, published in the first place. We get about 1,000 proposals. About 100 of those may make it to our weekly editorial meetings, and maybe 40 of those come out the other end and actually, get signed up as books. And really, of that, maybe 35 become a book. So that's already, pretty bad math. And then in there, the the really tricky thing is, it's either some magic happens with the book, or maybe it doesn't. It's kind of hard to really predict in each case. This is a book where I can say the magic really happened. And what I think is even kind of cooler is the magic happened because Lita does exactly what she describes in the book with the 10 rules. So let me say a little bit about what I mean there. A weird fact is I used to edit gardening books for about 10 years. I wasn't much of a gardener, but I was publishing people who knew how to garden. The big shock for me was when I had a chance to visit some of the authors of these beautiful garden books with like these, pictures that show up in these magazines. And I would visit some of the gardens of the people who write the books, and these gardens looked nothing like what you saw in the book. They were really good. I guess you could call that kind of the old rules of influence. Um, Lita's not a case of somebody where the promise doesn't match the substance. And that's what makes this book really special, because it's a bit of a high wire act. Um, my favorite rule in the book, and I told her, I would kind of pick one out, is be real. And that's something you're either going to kind of make that reader believe you and kind of cling onto your words when you're taking that stance in your book, or they kind of see through you. It just doesn't really quite come off. Um, I'll be honest with you, as an editor, I never really know until that manuscript shows up, and I really can get into it, which version I'm going to get. And this is a book where I kind of fell on the floor. And Lita I'm sure she'll remember that day when I sent the email. I probably worked on, I don't know, 800 books in my career, and this is in, the top 20 for sure. Where she just kind of put it all out there in a way that was very courageous. That's kind of rule number one. she didn't try to kind of give you these rules like some, oh, I don't know, priestess on high who had just been given all these, tablets. She was very vulnerable. She kind of explained where she stumbled, how she kind of, got that kind of hard road to getting more confidence in her voice, and doing what I think everybody who buys this book is going to want to do. You're going to read this book not because Lita says she's perfect, she's an expert. It's because she's real and she is somebody you can kind of trust as a reader. I'm telling you, that doesn't come every day in my business. So when Lita asked me to speak about this, I was kind of overjoyed. I really couldn't wait to share that because it's something that's very special to me in my career. And even, and as Lita said, even in the course of writing it, I think there were times when Lita felt, well, maybe I should be a little more, oh, I don't know, formal, or take, have that executive presence and kind of, follow the old rules a bit more. And that was part of my job, was to keep reminding her, no, you're talking about the new rules. Like, just go in there, be Greta Thunberg, which she really did. And I think you can see that just even today. So the other thing that I think is really special about this book, and I've just, is a lot of the books that kind of have this type of reader to author contact. You know, the author feels very pressured to provide a lot of references, a lot of background, a lot of academic, baggage to kind of prove that they kind of have the proof, of what they're saying. Um, Lita is sharing almost all this book from her kind of personal coaching experience, professional experience, her personal uh, journey. And that only works if you have somebody who is, really follows the rules in this book. Because if it's somebody who's kind of showing off, who isn't trying to be of service, it doesn't work. The book just seems kind of, oh, I don't know, preachy or whatever. Um, I'm just in love with this book. I really am, because what she pulled off is something I really do think a lot of authors struggle with, which is that ability to be kind of confident in their voice and, share what they know, but not in a way that they don't make it about the reader. A book is going to sell. I mean, this is something I have to tell a lot of authors. Remember, you're not writing the book for you. You're writing the book for that reader. They're reading their book because they need to see themselves in, what you're laying out. And this is a book where I don't know if I've ever worked in a book that does it better. And it's, the amazing thing is, it's not out of some, kind of academic research. It's really from kind of her lived experience and professional experience. Um, so just to, go to my favorite passage in the book, I was trying to think of again how that gets captured. And in the early part of the book, where she describes the difference between being real and being transparent, she says, I believe there's a fundamental difference. I put aside the dictionary for a moment and follow me here. Being real is letting people see you, hear you, and know you, is showing your vulnerable side and trusting that your audience won't abuse or hurt you because of it. Realness dictates that if you are asked a question or you volunteer an idea or opinion, you're being truthful in your response. Your realness, texted and witnessed over time, builds authentic trust. Now, that's something that she lays. If you follow her rules in the book, if you follow her example in the book, you will build that trust with others. People will feel your influence. They will trust your word. And that's something that I wish more authors had kind of had that ability to really kind of uh, you know uh, follow their words in their book. So I don't know if there's anything else you need from me, but that's the highest praise I can give, and it's all earned.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. You're all gonna make me cry. Whew. Okay. Thank you, Neil. I couldn't have done this without you, without the trust you put in me, and without all the support from Barrett Kohler. Because even when we got into the marketing, it's such a collaboration. Wow. Um, I wish my father were alive, because I would definitely forward that part to him. Thank you. My next guest is not only a client, but also someone I call a friend. LaToya Roberts is Vice President of Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for small firm, JP Morgan Chase. And we're going to hear from her. She's on vacation right now in Grenada. And the words that LaToya will be sharing reflect her opinion and not the firm's. LaToya, let's hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lita. And thank you so much for inviting me. When I knew about this, or when you mentioned that you were having your launch day today, even though I'm on vacation, I had to be here to celebrate you. This book is just amazing. So a little bit about me is that I am a part of the military. I'm a veteran. And I came from that age where, you're told, not to show emotion. You kind of park everything at the door and you go into work or into your unit, and you just kind of, follow that old school way of thinking. And I think, as we all know, right, after the pandemic, everything has really changed in the way people are showing up, or the way they expect their leaders to communicate to them. And I found this book to just be really refreshing, where it's like, finally, someone is actually breaking those rules and giving you the tools that you need to survive and to thrive in this new culture, in this new environment. So for me, this book is just phenomenal, and it just helps you to connect. And because the way we lead, the way we build trust has fundamentally changed. So this book, to me, is a critical guide for navigating this new environment. What I found to be particularly compelling about this book is that it just feels like I have a personal career coach right by my side. I've worked with Lita over the years, like 2 years now, I believe, and I hear her voice as I read this book. There were moments where I laughed. There were moments where I cried. There were moments where it really helped me to dig deep into my purpose and sort of realigned exactly who I am and how I am showing up for the people that report into me on a daily basis. So it's not just strategies that Lita is sharing here, but her own journey. And it just makes it incredibly relatable and practical. And as a leader, like I said, it just helped me realign my approach and reminded me of the things that matter, and actually had me think about the tough questions that sometimes we forget and overlook during our, the hustle of our daily responsibilities. So my advice is, whether you are a seasoned leader or just starting your career journey, this book provides clear, actionable guidance to help you build and enhance your influence. And it's a tool that you can return to time and time and time again. It's concise, it's clear, it's relatable. I plan to have mine, which is right next to me, in my book bag, because I think, not just having the tools to say, hey, this is probably how you should look at things. I find it to be very inspiring as well. So Lita, congratulations. I am super excited, and I am so happy that you are sharing this with the world, and that folks are going to get to know you a little bit better, because you have inspired me within the last 2 years. I have grown from our conversations. And this is just genuinely you. So I'm really happy. And I think I told you this. I'm proud that others are going to be able to get to see and feel what you bring to this world on a daily basis.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, your friendship has also enriched my life, and boy, do we have a lot of fun when we get together. And, folks, if you haven't seen the LinkedIn Live that I did with LaToya about a year and a half ago, it's on my YouTube channel. You will see somebody living these rules, because you were so authentic, so true to yourself. You spoke from the heart. And it went viral. I mean, that program it just resonated with so many people, because you bring that authenticity or realness, as I talk about in the book. So Thank you for your warm words. Means so much to me. I hope you'll be able to join us at the end, but if you have to bounce for your flight, we certainly want you to make it back to New York. Okay, we're going to do another prize. How about that? So we have a $100 Amazon gift card. And remember, you have to be present to win. So Holly Masterson, are you on the meeting? If you're on the meeting, please drop into the chat. Hello, a smiley face. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and message us there. But Holly, if you're on the meeting, you have to be present. So please, I hope you are, because we have a $100 Amazon gift card headed your way so that you can buy copies of the book for all of your friends. And it's really exciting. The next person I want to introduce, I'm trying to think how we met. I think James Tongate and I met when we both connected to a nonprofit that serves military. And I happened to be headed to Louisville, Kentucky. And James is like, here's the first thing I need to tell you. It's not Louisville. It's not Louisville. And he talked me through how to pronounce it. And we met up for lunch. And it was one of the best lunches I've ever had because we were instant friends and we've been friends ever since. So James is the Vice President of Government and Military Relations at Benelink, big supporter of the military. He'll tell you a little bit about his background and what he thought about the book. So thank you, James. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, Lita. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for having me, Lita. Yes, my goodness. Your influence itself, even prior to this book, has reached me and several of the folks that I know that are in our network together for many years now. I had the opportunity of working at a little company called Humana for a few years, about 18 years. And some of the information that you're sharing in your book, particularly finding your who, it really resonated with me. I think as I look at that chapter itself, I found myself thinking about, my goodness, who am I? You mentioned about how we blindly follow those tasks and those things that the job description would have and where we go. And there's got to be something more to that. Well, it took me a little while to find that because I was serving also at that time in the National Guard and with the Kentucky Air National Guard. Eventually finding myself, there's a lot of things going on around the world, and I was participating in those. At the same time, holding down a job just the same. Eventually, some of the information you had in previous articles and books that you had written with Syracuse University, IVMF, Institute for Veterans and Military Family, got our attention, got my attention, and I started following some of those things. And again, it all comes back to the book that you wrote today, which I'm proudly own now. But I can tell you that eventually we made the #1 military friendly company in the nation because we were able to hire veterans, military spouses, wounded warriors effectively. A lot of these rules that you had. Quick story. And I'll say this because some of the words that you said at the beginning here, you said it's about, not only finding your who, but it's who your audience is, right? So some of the things that are in this book, being that storyteller and some of those things, I had an opportunity. I was present at another conference. I'm in civilian clothes, and I see the Commandant of the Marine Corps sitting on the side there. His wife is there as well, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. And again, I'm just a lowly, at that time, E7. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over. We had some commonalities, and I say that obviously military. But at the same time, when I served overseas, he happened to be there, and I transported him on my aircraft one day. Long story short, there were some things that he was doing. When I introduced myself, he said, hey, I'm about to, cut the Marine Corps ROTC. And at the time, I was a volunteer. My children were in the Marine Corps Junior ROTC in high school. And I, again, you're talking to a 4-star general, one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I said, well, that is an absolute bad idea. And let me tell you why. And I named 5 different things at that moment. And he just kind of stepped back a minute and said, wow, I never thought of it from that perspective because it's low-hanging fruit and we need some money and blah, blah, blah. So at the time, he ended up saying, I tell you what, I really appreciate your information there, because you hear it from all over. Other people influence you, but when you get someone who actually comes from a different perspective, then it will change the mind. So at that moment, we talk about the way that you can influence. It doesn't matter where you're at in your life, but you take that opportunity. And what Lita's book provides you is an opportunity to really think outside. I'm going to use the cliche of outside the box, but in a different way, by using your own self and the way you realize your superpowers that you have within. So as I've started perfecting my things about storytelling, right? Kind of went glossy-eyed here for a minute. Sharpen my skills. I feel I'm getting a little better at it and so forth. But when I think, Lita, you spoke of the art and the science. It's both of those things of telling those stories. And depending on who your audience is and how you're kind of making it human, you're being unapologetic when it comes to your confidence, those types of things. I find myself reflecting back on so many of the experiences and finding my aha moments in those. But Lita, I can tell you that I'm really excited for you and your readers. The way that you open up and you speak from your heart, you share a lot of those learned experiences in everything that you do. And I think it's going to be extremely helpful, and it will be a bestseller. I can tell you that. But I'm grateful for our friendship, and I look forward to sharing your book, no matter with, the folks I still work with in the military. And by the way, I am the Kentucky State Command Chief within, and again, starting from the bottom, work my way up simultaneously while having a career. But again, I look forward to sharing your book with everyone in my company and a lot of my peers in the military as well. So again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to working with you more in the future.
Oh, thank you, James. Well, that would be a treat. And I know we'll continue to know each other, but yes, let's find a way to work together. Wouldn't that be fun? We should share a stage together someday. That would be a blast. Let's do it. All right. From your lips, right? So thank you for that. I wanted to just give Holly Masterson one last time to reach out to see if Holly actually did end up joining the call. We haven't heard from you yet, Holly. And if I don't see something, we're going to actually pass the baton to the first runner-up for the $100 gift card. And that is Diane Chase. Diane, are you on the meeting? Because if you're on the meeting, go ahead and drop something into the chat so we know you're here, and Diane would get the $100 gift card. Okay, moving on. Hopefully Diane is on the meeting. Okay, the next thing we're going to give away is the Apple AirPods. And these are the fancy ones. These are the super duper noise canceling, all that stuff. And the winner of those, and hopefully you're in the meeting, is Chandra Kanoja. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Chandra. Chandra, are you in the meeting? Are you on this program? And if you are, go ahead and drop into the chat that you're here so that we know that we can give you those AirPods and we can send them off to you. Please do that. And as we're waiting to hear if Chandra is in the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my final speaker who is with us today. And, this woman needs no introduction, really. Miss Marcy Moneypenny is principal and managing director at Avison Young, the Denver City Leader. If we can bring Marcy up on screen, Sabrina, there we go. And Marcy and I have known each other for a while. Marcy, you have been so excited about this book, probably even more excited than I was for a while. And I'm just so honored to have you with us and talk about, what you found helpful in the book and what you plan to do with it going forward. Would love to hear from you. Close us out with your thoughts.
Thanks so much. It's really interesting. As I've read through the book, I can hear your voice. It's that authentic of a part of you. And so right away, as you know, I was taken with the book. And I live my life typically in threes. So I wanted to share with you 3 of my many takeaways from the book. And the first one, thank you for sharing the Mark Twain quote. It is awesome. There are 2 important days in your life: the day you're born and the day you realize why. That is just so all encompassing. It's become one of my new favorite quotes. So thank you for that. And then rule 10, be your brand. I clearly understand the importance of a personal brand. Matter of fact, most people would think my last name, Moneypenny, is my brand. It's certainly memorable from all the James Bond movies, but I don't consider it my brand. And for many of the reasons you lay out in the book, certainly in Rule 10. And there was a phrase you used in Rule 10 that again resonated with me, and that is build your sense of identity with intention. Again, build your sense of identity with intention. That's just so powerful. Lita, thank you. And I would like, and probably the last thing I'd want to share, maybe it's the last, maybe it's not, is how important it is for me to mention that why the new rules of influence now. To me, the timing's perfect. We're still post-pandemic, and many of us are still trying to determine how do we recover, how do we reset in a world where it seems like the norm continues to change on a routine basis. The great news about influence is we have the 10 rules. We have how and when and where and why that rest at our feet. And that means we get to take the first step. And so let me strongly suggest that everyone listening today or anyone who's started reading the book, make sure you get to that building your sense of identity with intention is just something that will stop you in your tracks and make you step back a bit and think about who and why are you the person you are today and where do you want to go in the future. So my suggestion, I guess the process for you to be able to do that is to buy your own copy of Influence Today. So that's my action for you. However, one of the things I wanted to end my time with you, Lita, today is to thank you for your authenticity. You know how much I embrace being authentic and how I hold it very dear. For someone to walk out on that branch and step at the very end of it, taking that chance of redefining authenticity versus executive presence, and so many of the things you mentioned in the book, thank you for doing that. For those of us who really have found the norm might work well for others, but we really prefer to be ourselves. So thank you, Lita. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcy. I wasn't sure if I should just like sit back and you were just going to keep going. If you haven't seen some of the posts Marcy has made on LinkedIn about this book, I mean, I think you get the prize for creativity. Thank you for that. And thank you for being part of this journey. Your enthusiasm, I mean, you're living these rules and you are so true to who you are. And it has been an honor to have you as a client and a friend and just good things ahead, I'm sure. Before we move on to more prizes, I wanted to read something from the book again. And this is real short, but it's in the chapter on finding your who. And what I say here is, and here's why these two rules matter so much. And I'm about to introduce the rules of being of service and being inclusive. Here's why these rules matter so much. We live in a world where many people are selfish, self-absorbed, and concerned only about doing which directly benefits them. a world where kids were raised to believe they could do anything and be anything. Here's your trophy. And often that didn't include serving others. We put up walls, lock our doors, and gate our communities to keep other people out, yet we post on social media about our lavish meals and opulent homes to flaunt our good fortune. #blessed. True and lasting influence doesn't come from getting and accumulating. It comes from giving and serving. And I think if you just listen to what the folks today have shared with you, they're living those values and those rules without even realizing it. All I did was put all of it into a book. And I'm so honored to have everyone with me sharing this journey. We didn't hear actually from Chandra. So Chandra, if you're in the meeting, you got like 5 seconds, drop us a note in the chat and let us know, because we're going to move on to the first runner-up for the Apple AirPods. I don't hear from Chandra. Okay, so the winner of those is now Sherry Austin. And Sherry, I hope you're listening. Please drop us a chat in the chat box. Let us know you're in the meeting so that we can get those fancy dancy Apple AirPods sent off to you so you can listen to the audiobook if you choose to listen to it. And I actually have listened to it. It's really well done. Okay, so hopefully we hear from her. We have the final gift that we're giving away, and this is a signed book, but also a coaching session. So this is going to be a 50. We'll go a little bit over. Oh, there. Okay, so some of you have anonymous LinkedIn users. So if the last one that says "I am here" is Sherry, hopefully that's you, because you just won the AirPods. Okay, so the last gift we're giving away is the coaching session with the book. And this is going to be a 50-minute session where you and I are going to dive into where you are in your career, what you're looking for, and how I can help you get there. And it's completely free to you as winning a prize. And the winner of that one is Lori Frazier. Lori, if you're in the meeting, let us know you're here. Okay. Is Lori Frazier, who's Chandra? Oh, is Chandra, is that you saying that you're here for the AirPods? Because you've got your settings as LinkedIn user, so it doesn't have your name. But if it is Chandra, we'll reach out after and figure out who that is. But is Lori Frazier in the meeting? Because Lori, I would love to work with you if that works for you. Go ahead and let us know you're here. Lori, I hope you're on the meeting. Okay. Hopefully Lori is here. Well, we're going to give that a moment. Okay. So Chandra, you get the AirPods. We didn't even hear from Sherry. Okay. We'll get those sent off to you. Perfect. If you've got your settings to anonymous, just know that I can't see it that way. I apologize for that. Okay. Perfect. So Lori Frazier wins the big prize. If not Lori, then we will give it to a runner-up. We will get to that in just a moment. We're going to bring everybody out on screen here. Everybody's coming up. And I know, Latoya, you're going to have to bounce, possibly early. That's perfectly fine. Okay, there's everybody. I want to bring my team up too. Many of you have interacted with, if you are a client and you've had me book travel, you know Kristen, who's there. Wave, Kristen.
Hi.
And then there's Sabrina, who helps me with all the marketing. And we're going to wrap up our session. So the last thing I'm going to read is why we're so excited about this book. This book is for you if you want your voice heard, but you wonder if you've earned the right. You feel your power and influence have been marginalized. You're concerned that you have the presence and influence. To have presence and influence means depreciating your authenticity. And you have something important to share with the world and want to do more and be more. As you've heard today, we're all in this with you, right? These are people who believe in what we're talking about and are passionate about sharing the messages that we have in this book. This is how you will get there. It is a shortcut. It is not an academic book. I had somebody tell me the other day they thought this should be carried in all business schools, and I was like, I don't know about that. It's not a business book, right? This is a book for the rest of us. Whether you're a content creator, you want to start a movement, you're passionate about leading a community, you just want more confidence to raise your hand in a meeting, or you want to be able to tell your boss how you really feel you can contribute. This is the book that allows you the tools to lean in and get there. So if you liked the book or you're intrigued, please buy the book. Buy it today. Buy a copy for a friend. Buy a copy for a student that you know, because it's very easy to read. It's very conversational. Buy it for your team. We actually have bulk orders. Look at LaToya. There you go. We'll just get Jamie Dimon to buy a copy for everyone at the firm. There you go. And then Neil will be happy. But really, it is a great book. The audiobook is out. The electronic book is out. Everything is out. It's completely launched. I want to, again, before we take questions, and if you've got questions, go ahead and ask. We're all here. We're all going to take your questions. I want to thank my amazing family and friends, Scott, who I couldn't do any of this without, Eileen, Bo, and Chris, and Clark, and Grace, and Junior, Nicoletta, Knox, and Zeke. Zeke can't understand, but he'll get there one day. My superhuman team at Lita 360, Sabrina and Kristen, my amazing publisher, Barrett Kohler and Neil, my good friends, LaToya, James, and Marcy, for all of the love and encouragement and just everything that you've said here today. I tell you, I'm going to have this on repeat. I'm just going to keep listening. I could not be more proud. Could not be more proud. So, anybody have anything that you didn't get to say? Or Sabrina, Kristen, do you want to offer anything up while we wait to see if any questions come in?
Chris?
Kristen, anything?
Sure. Well, I would just love to say just congratulations, Lita. I know that this book is going to have an impact on people, not just here in the U.S., around the world, just as your words have in the past. And I just want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your expertise. They mean so much. I'm proud to be a part of your team, and just congratulations.
Thank you. You know, it's interesting you bring that up. We are seeing a lot of international book sales. And what Barrett Kohler has shared with me is that even the pre-ordering of international bookstores is unusual. So I don't know if they got excited because of my last name and they thought it was a book about cars, but a lot of people internationally. So we're hoping the book will start to get translated into different languages, because I know that that can be tricky. Sabrina, anything from you?
Well, we already shared our tears before, but you know more than anybody that this book means so much to me. And if we can say like a little testimony, the book speaks to somebody like me that never like decided to raise her hand and share her ideas, or always sat back and behind the scenes, and it's comfortable. I'm here just handling all of it and nobody has to see me. And this book is like a permission. It's like that letter that says you can do it. Here it is. Go do it. And that's what this book means. And our hope is that it's the same for many of you that have been in a similar situation.
Thank you, Sabrina. LaToya, Neil, Marcy, James, anything that you, Marcy, of course. Yes.
Hey, want to make sure I get it in. One of the things I wanted to mention is that Lita is going to be a speaker for our women's network here at Avis & Young in September. Our group is called Empower, and I'm the global executive sponsor and had the privilege of connecting Lita with our group. And so we're really excited about you being able to talk about the book. I can't wait for our women and some of our male allies to hear what you have to say. So just wanted to let you know that the embrace is true and real, and we're excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm excited too. I have noticed that I am getting pulled into a lot of these communities, women's groups, women in sales, women in leadership, a lot of women's groups, and a lot of other groups as well, LGBT groups that I'm not part of, military that I'm not part of, but that represent a lot of who this book is written for, right? Someone who just wants to know that their voice matters. They're not looking to be, obnoxious or be overly, self-promotional. They just want a chance to have their voice heard in a way that's credible and impactful. So thank you, Avis and Young. And yes, I'm doing a lot of speaking on the book right now. Who else? James, did you want to offer?
Yeah, I tell you what, I really like to say, hey, thank you for that, Sabrina. And something that LaToya said, I want to kind of go back to. I think one of the biggest thing that you did was your authenticity throughout the book, and being brave and letting everyone know. I mean, you started this journey in 2008 for the military community, something you knew nothing about, but you took that and you ran with it. You dove in, feet first into the fire. But I think a lot of those things have I think teaching you about the cultures within the culture, from the Defense Department, the Army, Navy, Air. We're not all soldiers, right? So the Air Force is quite different than the Army and the Navy, et cetera. And then there's always the Marine Corps. But I think those things that you learned specifically along the way, and how you shared that. And again, I think there's someone in the chat, Lonnie, I think I'd see, who said, thanks for the assistance in the military community. So I want to personally thank you as well, Lita, for everything you've done for us. So.
Well, it has been my honor. And it honestly, like I say, I have the easy job. Nobody shoots at me when I go to work, most days. And, Neil, I really appreciate you being here as well, because I get a lot of people who maybe I make it look easy, and they're like, oh, can you hook me up with your publisher? And I've worked with previous publishers, and I've self-published. And I always say, if you're gonna approach Barrett Kohler, like make sure your heart is in this, right? This isn't just a practicum. This isn't, a message that you just feel will help you grow your career and get you on the speaking stage. So I really appreciate what you had to say and your leadership in just holding me accountable to all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were a real example, I think, of authors who are, kind of willing to hear, the feedback. I mean, it's a tough thing, right? I mean, we all, sometimes don't like to be edited. Speaking as an editor, can we hear that? Can we? And you were just so hungry for feedback and information, and just kind of ran with it. I mean, you left everything on the court. I'm going to say that, which I know everybody's saying that, but I just want to really make sure everybody knows that like you left everything on the court, and the reader's gonna see that. I noticed there was one question in the chat, so I don't know if we have.
Please.
I know. Yeah, so I noticed somebody asked how to build and expand your brand, and there it is. And what I wonder, like the question that comes along that is, you don't say a lot in the book about sometimes the loudest voice wins, and it does seem like sometimes our culture is kind of pushing people that way. I'm just curious what you think of that question and that observation.
Well, it's true. And the other thing that I say is influence doesn't come with authority and rank, right? You can have the job title. That doesn't mean you have influence. You have people who will comply because their paycheck is attached to it. You can coerce people, and that's not the same thing as influencing. So when we think of leadership being more service-minded, influence goes with that. And being visible, we have to be visible, right? We can't lead from the shadows. And in my experience, in 30 years, don't do the math, in business, it's that sometimes the person in the back of the room has something to say that's really important. But if they don't get called on, or they're holding back, we're not going to hear from them. So building a brand and crafting your value set, letting people know who you are, how you are, why you are, is really how, Rick McKenna, my buddy from, I think, Kansas City, isn't that right, Rick? Talks about integrity. And it's all about integrity. But how do we define integrity? Because it's one of those words kind of like authentic. We feel like we know what it is, but if you ask somebody from the military, or you ask somebody from a social activist background, or somebody from politics, somebody from business, what does integrity mean? you actually might get different answers. So defining it for yourself and then leading through that. I have to say, the thing that I have heard today from all of you, which means so much to me, is that I walk the talk, that you feel like you know who I am, and that I live the principles I teach. That's integrity. That's what I hope for everyone, because it is really hard to be someone else. I did it for many years. I dressed differently. I remember the day that I said to my husband, I think I should stop wearing makeup. And he's like, well, you do whatever you want, but you love makeup. You always say it's your creative time. I said, yeah, but no one else at work wears makeup. And he goes, but you're not them, you're you. And how often we wrestle with that tension. So I appreciate all of your thoughts. I appreciate all of what you have shared. You're all influencers in your own worlds. And I am so honored to call you friends. And I know that we've hit the top of the hour. I know that we're getting a lot of comments, which I encourage all of us who've been on the screen, read the comments after. People love what you had to say. To everyone watching, thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for being part of this journey with me and with my team. Read the book, get the book, buy the book for your group. If you do, I have discounts I can do on bulk orders, and share reviews so other people know and the book can get some love. Thank you to Sabrina and Kristen. Thank you, Latoya Roberts, Neil, Marcy Moneypenny, James Tongate, and from me and mine, thank you and God bless.
God bless.